Hey, so if I go to bjjfanatics.com, what do I need to search for in order to find 3 awesome instructionals?
All you really need to do is put in ROZ, and gravity is your friend, escapes for guys over 40, and Be a Hammer, Smash the Knees pop up. And those are the 3 that you've done so far.
Yes, and in January, I'll be going back to Boston to recruit a handful more. So stay tuned. More awesomeness on BJJ Fanatics coming your way.
We have all had that situation where after class is when we want to ask a question. And Thomas, a lot of those questions you've already answered, right, at Ask a Black Belt.
Yeah, it's another podcast that I'm running. It's on podcast, all podcast platforms, plus on YouTube. You can find it anywhere. Just search for my name. Search for Ask a Black Belt. At this point, over 100 episodes, different questions, jiu-jitsu, life-related, but something that everybody comes across, and often these questions sink in our mind, but we don't ask for whatever reason. So if that benefits you, go there, listen. It actually might help your jiu-jitsu, might help your life as well. And if you have any questions, find me on Instagram and drop me a line. I'll be happy to answer your question and mention your name during the episode.
Welcome to Raw Radio.
And we are live.
There you go.
All right, for the record, how do I drink coffee?
It's your ice, your iced coffee, which I can't even call coffee. It looks like a gallon of milk.
We talked about this already. Actually, we talked about this a couple episodes ago.
What, about your coffee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I like my coffee a certain way. Judge me.
Everybody does.
Judge me. Call me whatever you want. I don't care.
It's fine.
But I do like your.
Yeah, what I'm trying to mimic is a mouthful of ice or a cup full of ice. He doesn't. Yeah. So the ice is never in his mouth, but what he does, and you don't get to hear it. Maybe I'll leave it in the episode. Is his ice rattling around in the background? It's like when you pick up your cup, instead of quietly picking up your cup and turning away from the microphone, and taking a sip I was away from the microphone, and taking a sip through your straw. It's like you bring it over to the microphone and then you drink out of it. It's like move away.
My apology to all of you guys that you had to sit through this.
They could be sitting through the shaking of the ice in the plastic cup, in the disposable plastic cup, one single use that's going to go right in the garbage.
And this is why we keep Gary on the show.
Yeah, this is why. And then you tried to insult me during the episode too. Whatever. It's fine.
I was congratulating you and appreciating your contribution.
Mm-hmm. Sure you were. And that's your contribution to the episode? I think that's how I heard it in my head anyway.
This is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
If we lose few thousand listeners, we know why.
We know why. Few thousand.
All right.
So,
what
are we supposed to be talking about today?
Professor Jay Z was in the house. He talked about the interesting part of fine balance between in life and on and off the mat, right? And he talked about letting things go before you inquire new information or before you inquire new things, whatever that is, whichever medium or format that comes along. What's your philosophy on this? One, the balance, right? The life. Let's keep this on the mat because I think this could get really deep and we're going to get sidetracked going into, separate topics. But on the mat, what is your balance? The refining things that you know and inquiring new information. What's your thought on that?
Well, that's the balance, right? You have to do it all. You have to do it both. And I think that you cannot be closed-minded. You can't be closed off. This doesn't work or work for me. But at the same time, you can't always be like seeking more. We talked a lot about, like, he had some guys that started with him at Jean Jacques Academy who they were all about acquiring more knowledge and more technique and more and more and more. And he was like, no, you guys, we need to concentrate on what we're doing now. Right. So I think that, yeah, you can be distracted, and start receiving too much information, because then you're not really absorbing any of it. It's kind of, you're not getting, any value out of it. So I think that's the balance, right? How do you do it? And I think the only way to do it is to, small bites, pieces. Said this before. How do you eat an elephant?
I don't know. I never had an elephant.
One bite at a time. And so you'll get one bite at a time. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You'll get there eventually, right? But if you try and eat that elephant all at once, you're gonna get
illegal to eat elephants.
Okay, pick something else. It's not illegal to eat a cow. How do you eat a cow? One bite at a time. If you eat if you try and sit down and eat it all and absorb it all and take it all in, it's not gonna work, right? And things are gonna fall apart. You're probably gonna be disillusioned at some point, discouraged at some point. So take in only enough that you can chew.
He also talked about removing things.
Yes.
Before you inquire more, right? And that often is, especially in jiu-jitsu, I think that's a challenging part, right? So like we find ourselves in spots where we say, well, I already know how to do this, so we are unwilling to inquire. We are unwilling to receive more information, right? So by default, we shut it down, right? But also, there's the other side of the spectrum where we are willing to receive new information, but we have that information already here. So maybe a different version, different flavor of whatever, technique or subset we are trying to understand or educate ourselves on. But because we already have that information, we have our own ways, right? And this is often we talk about habits, or the way how we do things. And then again, this new information is coming in and we are in like this conflict. I know this, and this new thing is very different than what I know, and now there's a collision right in the middle. How do you find the balance to continue putting yourself in a vulnerable spot of continuous education? At the same time, you're not stuck in your ways, and you're not blocking the new information from coming in. Do you understand what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah, I think you have to. For me, it happened very early on, where I took a class with one person, and that same week, those same techniques were taught by somebody else, and I was like, "Hey, so and so didn't teach it that way," and the instructor was like, "Yeah, this is the way I do it. The end result's the same. We started in the same spot. The steps were the same, pretty much, but there was a difference of style maybe in there, and it makes you realize that okay, this isn't cookie cutter, and you can find the same results just taking a slightly different path, diverging here and there. So when you do that, it's easy to take something new in and ask yourself, how does this work with what I already know? I can see where this would be a better option for me. Or this would help in this part, or this transition, and to go back what I was talking to a little bit earlier, it makes it a little easier to digest. You don't have to, it's not a conflict. There is no conflict. You're just, taking it in piece by piece.
Different perspective.
And seeing how it works. And then you apply it. And if you find that, after applying it, you like that other thing, that first thing more, it works better for you. Well, now that's all.
Yeah. It's, earlier in my jiu-jitsu path journey, profession, I remember I was often very quick to share my thoughts. So somebody came to me, let's just say, and say, hey, listen, I saw blah, 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 blah. And they showed me something, and I was very, very quick. Always. I remember this. I was always quick. I was like, yes, but blah, 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 blah. And instantly shutting that person down. Thinking in the sense of no matter what they were showing me, I was unwilling to be, the recipient of their information, right? Like it's not that I knew better.
Right.
I always wanted to have the last word.
Okay.
And then at some point years ago, I came across this phrase of be last one to speak. And I think, I could be butchering this, but I think Nelson Mandela said this. I think I brought this up on the show earlier, some time ago. And that changed a lot for me. That was a big pivot point for me. And even to this point, any of the students come and share things with me, they found it legit or not legit. Mm-hmm. Like, I actually make an effort to really try to understand what they are showing me. Because I learned over time that some of the things, actually, I didn't know. Actually, they are showing me something that I've never encountered.
Right.
A little step here, little position, little grip, little golden nugget here and there that nobody ever taught me, and I've never noticed. And, well, listen, I'm learning.
Yeah. I think what's the very nature of jiu-jitsu, unfortunately, or I shouldn't say unfortunately, that people get clouded by is there's always an answer. There's always an answer. So when somebody shows you something, you're immediately looking for the answer, the counter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Happened at a seminar.
Yep.
Just recently. I talked about it on the episode today. Oh, yeah, that's a cool, you're creating space and you're hipping out, but what's to prevent them from taking your back at that point? In my own head, shut up and wait and see, because I bet he addresses it. And sure enough, 10 minutes later, it was addressed somebody else brought it up, and not trying to be smart or anything, just asking the question. And so I think on the mat, when somebody's showing you something or asking you something, you need just see it through with an open mind, and then see, the counter.
Yeah.
Don't look for it right away. Don't be so quick to shut it down. Because sometimes there's a ton of different counters. Sometimes there's millions of places where that person can go after, they only know up to this point that, whatever they're showing you, they know up to a point. Somebody else knows the counter to your counter. It's always going to happen. So you can shut it down. But if there was a third person who maybe has a little more skill, who's been on the mat for a while longer, they're going to counter your counter. And you know what I mean? It's so you can have this negative thing where there is no yin and yang, no give and take, no balance. It's just this constant pounding of shutting people down, shutting it down. So I think you just need to be a little more reserved, when that new information is coming to you, and check it out, give it a shot, see what you think. Don't be so quick to dismiss or to find the answer to it.
Yeah. Some time ago, Tamara Leroy talked about, he talked about fixed and growth mindset.
Yeah.
And this all kind of bleeds into this, right?
Sure.
Like this healthy balance, ability of discard things before you receive new things, being open-minded, being vulnerable, and ability to, look at things, being the last one to speak. All that falls into this ability of having an open mind to receive information and continue growing versus having this, very close-minded approach of what I know is what I know, and I'm willing to receive more information, but I'm going to tell you everything how I do it, and I'm doing the best, So oftentimes, our ego, and I don't mean it in a negative way in the sense of I'm going to hurt people or I'm the best, but sometimes subconsciously, our ego doesn't allow us to put ourselves in these vulnerable spots and saying, listen, you're a white belt, but you actually might show me something that you saw that might lead me on a brand new path. Mm-hmm. Bring me suggest things that will put me in a position of curiosity. I guess maybe that should be the part of it too. Just be curious. Be open-minded. Continue learning. Embrace the grind.
Oh, stop. Damn it.
In case you guys didn't notice,
I thought we were going to make it
a little cranky today.
No. I just
balance.
Maybe we were going to make it through one episode
without the grind.
Embrace the grind. Embrace the suck.
This should be like the subtitle of
every takeaway.
Of every takeaway.
But I mean, there's
fixed versus growth mindset.
Yeah,
Suck
I mean,
the
there's right. There's cliches are cliches for a reason. There's some substance, but they can also be beaten to death.
Oh, I agree. I agree. It's all about context.
Yes. Mm-hmm. There you go. All right, then. Are we done?
Let's wrap this up.
A quick one. All right,
man. This will be a quick one. Next episode will be very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. We are pretty stacked. We have some cool stuff planned for you guys. So stay tuned, share stuff, and
I'd like to. You know what we should do? I want to let's see, the month of February.
Yeah.
So I'd have to look back to see what the first episode of February was, but to take that to the end of February and add up the combined years that these guests have had on the mat. I mean, it's got to be.
Yeah. I mean, oh my God, yes.
I mean, that'd be pretty cool.
We're talking about some. Oh yeah. We got a bunch of old school guys.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I would love to hear the number.
I'll do it.
All right.
I'll do it.
Sounds good.
All right.
Next one. All right. Later.
Thank you for listening to Raw Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.